Tax day is just around the corner. Are you being honest with your return? A recent survey says 15% of Americans admit they cheat on their taxes. For those who don't pay, the Criminal Investigation Division is on the case. They use laser testing to find latent fingerprints and luminescent testing that reveals methods used to forge checks. The crime lab is also home to computer specialists who look through hard drives for clues to tax fraud. They even search social networking sites.
People brag about the money that they've made. They brag about the vacations that they've taken, the assets that they've accumulated, and those items all play into an investigation.
Becky Quick got a first-hand look inside that lab, and we'll have more about it tonight on CNBC documentary, The American Tax Cheat. She joins us live from CNBC's global headquarters with more on this. Thanks for joining us tonight, Becky.
Thanks, Susan. It's great to be here. You know, it was kind of stunning. 15% of Americans actually admit they cheat. That's what got us interested in this whole thing.
I bet. Well, what are some of the red flags that make the IRS look at some people more closely than others?
Well, you should realize if you're not a W-2 earner, meaning your employer's not already taking taxes out, that will automatically clue the IRS into paying a little more attention to you. Maybe you're a contractor, maybe you're a landscaper, maybe you're a waitress or a bartender. They will automatically pay closer attention to you. And also, if you're somebody who comes back with a much bigger tax return than you have in years past, maybe the amount of the refund that you're getting doubles or triples or even is 10 times what it was last year, all of those things can be big red flags for the IRS.
What about, is there a typical tax cheat? Or is it sort of just hit or miss?
No, there is a profile, especially for those who admit that they cheat. It tends to be a man who is 45 years old or younger. It tends to be a single man because those are the ones who are a little more likely to push things to the limit to see what they can actually get away with. But Susan, it's more complicated than just that. That may be the average tax cheat. A lot of people, though, don't even realize that they're cheating on their taxes because maybe they've gotten bad advice from a tax preparer. So that's where you need to be really, really careful.
So how do you know if your tax preparer is actually giving you good advice? What if you put all your trust in them and you're like, okay, well, they did it. I don't have anything to worry about.
Right. And Susan, we ran across a lot of people who wound up in very difficult situations like that. They listened to what their tax preparer told them, and maybe it was somebody they've been using for several years. Maybe it was someone who said, oh, don't worry about this. This is safe. It's legal. I did this for my son's returns, too. But there are a few things you can do to look out. Just about anybody can put out a tax preparer shingle. The IRS is trying to help out by registering all of these tax preparers, so you can check out to see if they have been registered with the IRS to at least let the IRS know they exist. You should look out for things, again, if you're getting a bigger return than you have in years past, try and figure out why. Because, again, that's something where the IRS will be paying attention to. If it's a lot bigger and it just sounds too good to be true, well, then listen to your spidey sense, because it probably is too good to be legal. And you have to remember, you're the one who's signing the bottom line. So you're the one who's going to be paying the penalties, who's going to lose your house, who's going to have your wages garnished, and in some cases, you could even wind up in prison. So you do have to pay attention.
Okay, Becky Quick, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time tonight. The American Tax Cheat premieres tonight at 9 o'clock on CNBC.
And for those of you who aren't done with filing their taxes yet, the clock is ticking, but you do get a few more days this year. The usual April 15th deadline is Emancipation Day in Washington, D.C. So the deadline this year is April 18th to file your 2010 income tax returns. Federal and state returns must be postmarked no later than that day.